Good. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Gunn. I am coordinator of digital scholarship at Catholic University of America Libraries, and I want to welcome you to this session of exploring the Gale Digital Scholar Lab. This is our first robust database where we are able to mine the contents, the sources that we have in the library. So I'm very excited about this. I've been playing with this a lot and seeing just how to work with it. Still looking at some of the weirdo bugs and other things going in there, but it's really a great platform to begin doing our research, in various areas of history, politics, English, and other areas as well. So it's quite exciting. So let's get going. Let me do this. There we go. So what we're doing is I'm going to just give a quick overview of the lab. I have a PowerPoint presentation here. I'll go through that, just give you a lay of the land, so to speak, and then we'll go in and I'll do a little bit of demo here and just show you around. We'll explore the lab. It's not something that you can learn in an afternoon and be a master of. It is very quite robust and is quite amazing. So this is the first step in your text or data mining career, perhaps. I don't know, but it is very very robust platform. So I do want to thank Dr. Sarah Ketchley from Gale Cengage. She gave a wonderful presentation of the lab to COA faculty last week, and she's given permission to use a number of the slides today from her presentation. So I just want to make that clear that this is her work, her refined work, making it look awesome and easy. So one of the nice features of the lab is that there's very much robust support for researchers if they have very specific questions. You're not left by yourself trying to figure things out. You can always contact them and they can come back to you and tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. So it's quite excellent. It's one of the nice features of this. And there's a lot of help, texts and videos through the process. Again, you don't feel abandoned going through the entire digital scholarship process here when you're building your project. So I should mention that as we move forward, the CUA librarians will be learning more about this and getting deeper and deeper into this. This is our first data mining project platform. We are, I hope I'm not letting the cat out of the bag, but we're probably going to be getting the Hathy Trust platform in the future. So we're going to be building on that. And there's also Ithaca's Constellate program, a platform, I should say. They do JSTOR and Portico and that sort of thing. So they have a free option right now and advanced features for the beta testers. So who knows, they may have a subscription-based platform coming forward, but we're trying to build sort of a text and data mining platform here in the libraries so that faculty and students can work on their various projects, explore in that. So very excited about what's coming up in the future. All right, let's do this. So we're going to do the overview of the lab, then we're going to look at some of the features of the lab, and then we're going to explore the lab while discussing the whole digital scholarship workflow, which is pretty cool in itself. All right, so here we go. Okay, so Gale wanted the lab to be designed for faculty and students. It's not just here's some data, here's some primary sources, play with it, goodbye. It's very much an educational tool that they're looking at. So they want to get faculty interested in working on their own research projects or knowing how to teach, how to do text mining properly. So they can teach that to students, who in turn students will learn to, work on text mining projects as well. So it's a convergence of thousands of documents, text mining techniques, best practices in the digital humanities. And that's sort of one of the things that excites me about it. You know, as someone who teaches digital humanities in the Department of Library and Information Science, this stuff very much gives a wonderful workflow about how to do a digital scholarship project. So it's quite wonderful. So the advantage of the lab is that it saves the researcher time in collecting documents. And if you've ever tried to collect documents, that can be quite an arduous task, trying to get that respectable data set together. So this definitely saves you time. And it's also good for, you know, doing basic text analysis without having the need to learn programming languages. So that's always an advantage for that, or using the command line. If you've ever had to do that, it can be quite annoying. The lab shows you how you need to consider when doing a text mining in the digital humanities. So quite a bit there that is useful. So just, you know, quick overview with the slide here. So it's all cloud-based content, so there's nothing you have to download on your computer. It does have the Gale Primary Sources collections that we have in our library that we subscribe to right now. So we do have quite a bit. There are other primary sources that we subscribe to that are not in the Digital Scholarship Lab yet. So for example, English-British manuscripts covering from, I think, 1100 to 1700, whatever, huge, great body of knowledge. They're not in there yet. They will be, I believe, 2023 or 2024, and they have other primary source material that they will be adding. So our sources will only get larger in that sense. So hopefully we'll have more of what we already subscribe to being put in there. I will show you what we have in there right now. So we still have quite a bit of primary material that you can use to do research. So it is worthwhile to learn the Digital Scholarship Lab. So they have also 6 major open source tools for basic text analysis, for things that you want to look for when you're looking at your documents and that. So we'll go through that very much. So Integrated Learning Center, they bring a lot of things together. So you can always, you know, if you're not too sure how to clean something, there's a quick video there that can show you how to do it. So it's quite useful. Text cleaning is integrated into the platform as well, and we'll show you that. You are able to upload text files, TXT, simple files like that, up to what was it, 10 megabytes at one time. So with text file, .txt files, you know, that's a lot. It doesn't sound, 10 megabytes doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're dealing with simple simple documents like TXT, that's quite a bit. And you can upload multiple. So you can do 10, then do another 10 and that. So it'll take you a little bit of time to build that data set, that content set, but you should be able to do it then. I don't know if they have any plans to have, if we're able to load Word documents or PDF documents. AntConc is another text analysis software platform. They just added, they were using TXT for the longest time. And in addition to that, they just added Word and PDF files as well. So that's a tool that you can use for that. So, and they just add that in December. So things are progressing, they're moving along, but just to be aware of what there are limitations to what you can do with this. And then, of course, you can, once you've done your analysis of your text and that, you've got some very interesting insights, you can download the visualizations and the statistical data and any content that you build in your session. So, and you can take that stuff and go use other tools as well. So it's quite useful in that regard. All right, so I mentioned the 6 main tools that they have in here. Just a quick screenshot of them. So, the outputs, these are outputs that you can work with. They're techniques that have been around for a while, and are great entry points for new researchers who want to get started in text mining. It's good for teachers who want to teach these techniques to their students, and for students who are dipping their toes into digital scholarship, if you will, for the first time. So there is a pledge, I guess, to add more tools in the future. So this is going to be an evolving thing. And I should mention the platform originally came out back in 2018. So it's not too old, only 4 years. And they're going to be expanding on that. So there's two kinds of ways that you can look at your do analysis here. One is the quantitative, when you're doing basic numerical counts. So you can do the Ngrams, how many times a word is present, how does it collate with other words, that sort of thing. You have parts of speech, so you can look at the language, and you can do tagging on your words on parts of speech, so you can get very specific. And you can also do named entity recognition, so you know how often a name is mentioned and where in the text, that sort of thing. So on the flip side, you have qualitative analyses. So here's where you, the user, has to bring something to the table, so to speak. So when you're looking at sentiment analysis, you have to decide, okay, what words are going to be negative, what words are going to be positive when I'm searching for, what words are going to be neutral, and moving from on there for your particular data set. Clustering allows the researcher to bring their statistical knowledge to analyze in a document set. So if you have a background in statistics and that, you're going to be able to delve much deeper into your respective data sets. And last, you have the idea of topic modeling. So that allows the user, the researcher, to lump all the words in a data set into usually a list of about 10 or so topics. So it's very much, in a sense, unsupervised. They have algorithms. You say, I want 10 words about this data set that describe this data set quite well. So it runs through it. An iterative process. It's quite time consuming, and then it'll pop out, well, here are the top, the 10 topics that are part of this data set, and then you can decide if that's worth exploring or not. So all these different things that you can tweak. But so you sort of have to know an idea about how to go about doing topic modeling. So as you go through, when you're looking at each of these tools, there's extensive literature on each of these methods, and the research will probably use a number, your research will probably use a number of these methods going forward. So just wouldn't be just one thing, but a number combined. So the platform is geared towards supporting teachers and students, as I mentioned. Supporting teachers and students in the teaching and learning of digital tools, research best practices, right? You're just not thrown in here to build a set or do some cleaning, whatever. You're looking at the larger picture. And you're also looking at very much that there's the platform is great because there's a scaffolding approach to the text mining. So it shows how you can build on what you've done, and then when you can come back to a later date and build on that further. So it's quite excellent. There's lots of tutorials, and there's written guidelines as you walk through the process of working on your project. So, the contextual framework is quite important. What is it you're doing and why is kind of important. The content in here is, a lot of it's created by academics and that. We have, for example, Gale's been very good at collecting good quality collections, getting digital collections. So we have the Oliveira Lima Library in our building here. It's a special collection, and it deals with Portuguese Brazilian material, 19th and early 20th century. So it's quite valuable. It's apparently it's the largest collection outside of Brazil. So we've had that, and my supervisor, Joan Stahl, was integral in getting that collection, working with Gale and getting that up. And we have that as part of our collection now. You know, so if you're working in this area, this is going to be quite awesome. And I should mention through the whole Gale Digital Scholarship platform, the lab, they've worked with academics saying, yeah, focus on this, don't do this. Here are things that you can add, that you can do in the collection. So it's very much a lot of input from a lot of different people, and starting with the basic collections as well. So they have the latest instructional design principles. So they have a scaffold so you can walk through the entire research process. And what I find is they explain the why as well as the what and how. And that's really, really valuable and really, really important. So they have a number of things in here that are quite useful. So they do have sample projects in here. So you can go in, if you're not too sure what you're going to do with the collections we have, you can see how various projects came together and why. And it's very well documented. And I'll actually show one as a brief example in a bit. So it's quite handy in that sense. So you get a sense of it before you take the deep dive into your own project. So you have, you know, the Learning Center, you have 3 sample projects that they have, research question, example, content sets and visualizations, and then the write-up, the narrative write-up. You know, the methodology is important. The limitations, what you were able to do are important too, and should be documented. So let's go through that. So I mentioned before, you can upload your user content. You can put it in their TXT. You can go and use their cleaning tools if you wanted to, and then export it and be gone. Bye. It's very useful in that sense. So it's not like you're committed to using this throughout the entire process. You can use this as supplementary to your own platforms if you have it. If you're working in Python or something like that and want to do that sort of thing. So it's quite nice that way. You can add your own content, you can build data sets with it, you can clean the data sets and analyze it. So you can bring your own material, and you can combine it with Gale Primary Resources material as well, which I really like. So you're going to be spending some time creating that data set, creating that content set, you know, getting something that's up and worthwhile to search. So it's very good. You can also do, while you're going through here, you can also enter your own metadata, and there's fields for that. So you can keep track of what it is that you're searching and what you can retrieve as well. So let's see. So I always like these big charts, these big picture charts, show you what's going on. So obviously you begin with the ideation, you begin with your research question. What is it you're doing? And asking yourself, okay, do I need to do text or data mining on this particular source? Maybe I don't, you know, so the best way to avoid a fight is not to show up, right? So if you feel that you can get something out of this, you know, you feel in the early stages that, yeah, maybe it's worthwhile doing this, because it is a time commitment. There's no question about it. So it's fun too, when you're going in, you want to see what the content is. So you want to discover the phenomena, so to speak, in a lot of these databases. So it's in these data, these primary sources. And it's kind of fun, because when you start to do that, one of the things that they really teach you and show you is how to do Boolean searching, you know, how to be a good librarian and searching in these databases and get what you're getting. You have a basic search field, you have advanced search field, all this sort of stuff. So you sort of have to get familiar just with that in moving forward. So here we have the whole build process here, and you'll notice Gale primary source data and or use up here. So if you wanted to you know, get your upload your material, this is where you do it. you'd do the building, and then you'd go through and refining your attributes that you're searching for. You're going to be looking at your results. You're going to go, these are sucky results usually, and then you go back and redo. So, even before looking at these particular a particular primary source, you have to know, well, what is exactly in there and what is not. What's the date coverage? What type of documents were they pulling? Were they government documents, or were they strictly novels? That sense. So you got to ask your questions like that. When you're in there, you have to look at the OCR. Some of the OCR is like really great, and they even tell you that the OCR recognition is 99% for this document. You're like, hey, that's great. Sometimes it'll be 57%, and sometimes they don't have it at all. But you still may want to have that document in your thing. So you're going to say, okay, I'm going to have to get it a different way. Leave the platform, go get it OCR'd if I can, if the PDF isn't in too bad a shape. Some of it can be, and then come back and input it. So hopefully the document is not too say not brittle, but if you have a difficulty reading it and it's a long document and you really need it for your project, then you're going to spend a lot of time just transcribing it before you can enter in. So that's just an example of how you could find yourself down the rabbit hole very, very quickly. So that's that. So you export your OCR content for external use, always good. Then you're going to clean your OCR data if you have to, and then configure cleaning attributes. So you're sort of going back up here. So you're looking at build, you're looking at clean, and then you're looking at analyzing, these being the big pictures. And how long it takes is going to be project dependent, each process. So once you get through that, you're to the point where you feel you've got the right content, it's properly formatted and all that, then you can go about doing analyzing. At that point, you go through and you can determine what tool you're going to use, pulling from the library, analyzing it. You're going to be looking at your results, your visualizations, and that. At the same time, there's a whole idea of interpretation as you go through, right? So you're always going to be looking at whether you're looking at your source material, you're cleaning, you're analyzing, you're going to be wanting to evaluate and interpret as you go along, and then document that as you go forward. So, all right. So what I like about this, these are recent enhancements that they've brought in, and I really like their culture, if you will, because they're always trying to improve things. So you have a better redesign interface to cohere more with the Gale primary sources in that. They continue to refine the user workflow. They have experience with the building, the cleaning, and analyzing. It's really come a long way with that. They've also redesigned analysis outputs as well. So they continue to do that. I sort of belabor this point, said, okay, that's fine in that. But I have to tell you, I was looking at this product last summer, and I was looking at ProQuest's text and data mining project, their platform. And I'll tell you, ProQuest is not there yet in terms of security, in terms of interoperability and that. So this is not obvious stuff. I really think you should appreciate this platform here. I mean, it's got a little weirdness to it, but hey, everything's got a little weirdness to it, frankly. So it's just something, my experience with contrasting two major publishers, Gale and ProQuest, and seeing what a difference their tools have. So I'm hoping ProQuest will upgrade their platform, and maybe we'll take a serious look at it this summer maybe and see if anything's changed in that. But anyway, next, oh yes, we'll do a teaching study, because I always like those. I teach digital humanities, so it's always a thing for me, just not talking about the stuff, but showing students how to actually use the tools and that. So your attention is divided in two different ways. You're just not talking about the content if you're doing text analysis of Moby Dick, but you're also saying, how can I do topic modeling on this, and how do I go about doing that? So you have that sort of divide that you have to be aware of. So instructors do have that added burden, if you will. So I meant the slide here mentions all these various learning objectives that you can have. I'll just mention the digital literacy, looking to the big picture of where it is, for example, where it is that you're getting your documentation from. If you're going to upload that into the Gale platform, are you allowed to do that? Are there legal, ethical implications to do that? If you write a paper with using that data, is that a data set? Are you allowed to make it publicly accessible, or are there restrictions? You have all that sort of stuff that comes, these sorts of questions that come with working with these types of platforms as well. So it's always something that you want to be aware of, copyright, who ownership, licensing, all that stuff. So we librarians are learning a lot about that right now with regards to a lot of this, and it will continue to evolve moving forward. All right. Sarah mentioned this slide as well, that she had worked with her. She teaches digital humanities classes. She worked with a couple of students working on a particular project. And this is sort of the big picture framework that you need to consider when you're working, when you're teaching this, and when you're working on a particular project. So everything from orientation to planning to collecting, curating, preparing data, analyzing, visualizing, the final project, and then moving forward through there, and all the different things that you can think about and consider. This particular link here goes to a particular project that was done a couple years ago, and it's sort of an example of how you can do these particular projects. And here's another wonderful thing, tools for cleaning, analyzing, visualization. I'll tell you right now, where you're building from, the Gale GPS is not geographical systems. It is the Gale Primary Source archives that we have. There's open data sets that you can use. There's Internet Archive. Where are you getting your stuff from can be quite challenging. You can clean in the lab. There's Lexos, regex, regular expressions. You can use those to clean your data. You can use those to search for different items in your in the platform here as well. Also open refine, if you want to take something out, clean it up, and then go back in. I've done workshops on open refine and regular expressions. So there's a lot of tools interacting here. You have text analysis, which I'll show in a bit. They also mentioned here Voyant and Anconk. I mentioned Anconk before. I did workshops on Anconk. It's a very cool, straightforward tool that you can use to analyze your text and see how what sort of content that you have within that. And then mapping, you have all these NEAR, Clavin, GeoParser, Edinburgh's GeoParser, Mapbox, ArcGIS, Neatline, all these wonderful things. I've done workshops on ArcGIS, so I'll just mention that and leave it. But you can see there's other tools that one can use. This will probably be very helpful with a lot of the historical data moving forward. Demo here. So I put my name up here if you want to talk in the future, and that I'll be sending out the slides and recording later after I get everything. So if you want to do follow-up conversations with me, that's great. I probably won't be able to answer your question right away, but we can learn together moving forward. So for me, this is going to be a major time commitment moving forward with this. So there it goes. That's a quick slide demonstration here. I'm now going to say goodbye. And here, so here we are on our library website, libraries.catholic.edu. I'm assuming everyone can see that page. Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, so here we are, and you probably want to wonder, where is this thing? So we have it in a number of places. You can go down to services here under digital scholarship, but we're sort of quasi promoting this. So we're actually have it under research help, and we have it under Gale Digital Scholarship Lab. So I'm going to click on that. This takes us to our landing page right here. And here's the things you can do in that. And you can access the lab right here. So if you're coming off of campus, you're obviously going to have to log in, do that stuff. No big deal. I'm on campus, so I just have to click on that, and here we go. So here's the main page here. So let me walk you through this. I'll try not to get into the weeds of it, but just give you an overview of some of the cool things here. So the first thing you want to do once you get in here is you want to create an account. Because this is how you save your content, your data, and you can come back to it later. So you got all this up on the webs ready to go. So I'm going to sign in with my Google account. Let's see, there we go. And voila. And you can tell that I'm in because I now have my content sets. I can I can build, I can clean, I can analyze. So I'm ready to rock and roll. So what we have on this main page here, I'm just going to scroll a little ways down here. So you have the build, the clean, and analyze, and they take you to pages they break it down further what to do, and then they have videos and documentation even further there to really walk you through the stuff. So we have here providing the digital scholarship pathways. Let's see down here. And you'll see videos like this pop up. So, what is this lab? This will give you a quick overview of it. The videos are usually like 1 to 4 minutes long. So they just get to the essence of whatever that particular page is that you're on and move from there. So if you want to get started, I should mention here before I go to the Learning Needs Center here. Okay, Kev, what do we have available here? Because we do have a whole bunch of Gale Primary Sources. We subscribe to them, but not all of them are in the lab. So you need to make that distinction. So if you want to know what's here, we have, see the available archives. And here we go. So if you wanted to do American fiction, that's a good century and a half and a bit that you can find. Archives Unbound. Here's our Oliveira Lima collection. A lot of specific. I love 18th century collections online and 19th century's collections online. That's what excites me about this. So I was sort of hesitant to get it until I realized that we're getting a lot more material in here. So I was sort of thinking maybe we'd have to wait a year or two, but I think there's enough here for enough people on campus or for our faculty and students that this makes it worthwhile here. So political extremism and radicalism, let's see, refugees, let's see, and then particular collections that we find very useful. So a lot of newspaper titles. So you can do a lot of newspaper searching in that, which is quite useful. Of course, slavery and anti-slavery, we have folks working with that. Let's see what else. Sunday Times Historical Archive. That's pretty cool. The Times Digital, and then the Literary Supplement Historical, if you want to look at that. And then US Declassified Documents Online. So you can see you can search these by themselves. You can combine them. You can bring in your own material. So a lot of good stuff here. Women's Studies Archives. Don't want to forget that. So there you have a lot of stuff that you can build from. And you check out Women's Studies Archive. Maybe there's a lot of stuff in there, but you maybe don't want the 19th, 20th century, maybe just looking at the 1890s. So how would you frame that question and gather that those documents so you can build that content set? So you can always do subsets in that sense. And like I said, they'll be adding more stuff here. British, English manuscripts, a few centuries of that. That's going to be pretty awesome. I'm hoping they'll put the Literature Resource Center into that, because then that would be serious documents. The number of documents there is pretty awesome and quite comprehensive. But that's in the future. They're rolling this out, and it takes time to take those PDFs, OCR them, and throw them up on here. So I just wanted to show you that. Let me go back here. So we're back to this page here. Mentioned tryout or sample projects. We'll get to that in a second. On this side here, it says visit the Learning Center. So maybe you want to start off on this page here. Let's see. All right. So again, you'll notice, I'm going to scroll a little ways here. Yeah, build, clean, and analyze. And now you see all the different things that you can use. So let me look at build overview. So it tells you, okay, how do you go about building a content set, right? And then you have how to do some basic searching. Back to library school, I call it. Let's see. And if you click on that, they'll show you what to do. So very helpful, informative as they go through the process. And of course, lots of search limiters, right? So you're going to have to use this, search using these if you want, see the results, and then go back and redo, because maybe you've restricted your search by publication country, for example, and maybe you didn't want to do that. Maybe you want to expand it out to a couple more countries or something. So you always have to play and work with the work with the data sets that are there, and as you go about building your first data set. So they talk about reviewing and curating your sets, and then once you feel comfortable that you have something that's worth searching, then you can put that in your content set. So that's a first very quick step there for building, and you can use these in uploading documents and all that. So you have cleaning text, cleaning overview, doing a clean configuration, that sort of thing. That you have here. Let me come back to that in a second. If you notice on the left-hand side here, you have curriculum materials, right? So for instructors who want to do something like this, they have sample syllabi that you can use to build from there. Isn't that great? I love that. I wish I had it back in my day. 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, there's a lot of helpful things here. And you want to, when you're working with students, and for students who are understanding, you want, what are the learning objects? What are you trying to show to the students as you go when you work on your digital scholarship project, right? And you're doing a little bit of project management here. The end-to-end project outlines, what deliverables that you're getting as you work through that whole process. So it's very much documented and mapped as you go through. And these are samples that you can use, teachers can use, and frankly, students would find this useful as well. So I just wanted to show those particular ones as well. Let's see. Okay. I'll make sure I'm in the right spot here. All right. So we're going to go back. I'm going to click the back button here. I have to go right up to the top here. It's a little weird navigating this, I'll say. So here we are. We're back to the main page, supporting your learning needs here. If you need to get back to that, What I want to show is, I need to go back to here actually. I'm going to go to the sample projects and I'm going to look at the rise of electricity in the late 19th and early 20th century. So here's a sample project that you can go through. You have, if you're just beginning to practice with it, you can get a copy of this set and they'll download everything, the text, the documentation, everything, the whole primary sources, everything like that. They do note that that once you get the data set, they'll include material that CUA does not own necessarily. So that's something to keep in mind, but is helpful in that sense. They do have a thinking critically supplement PDF if you wanted to use that sort of thing. Let me see. So when you're looking at different things, you want to look at your ideas. So I'm going to click on ideate. So you're going back to the research. What are your research questions? What sort of relevant questions that you can ask about this. When you're looking at your build, it tells you, it documents what it is that they looked at, the search terms, the delimiters. Let's see if I can pop this up. Another thing I've noticed is sometimes when you're clicking on it, it won't pop up. So I don't know if it's just a wonky thing or if the option's not there. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so I won't do that. So you have that. You have the cleaning, how they went about cleaning this, and the questions that they asked, how they analyzed. Excuse me. It's great to get some results back. Now you have to understand them and interpret them. So this is a good way to get you thinking about your own project. So they have, yeah, that's a little frustrating because it was working this morning. So I wanted to show you the larger picture for these. So yeah, so it won't do that, unfortunately. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm double clicking. You just need to click once. Who does that anymore? I mean, seriously. Anyway, I'm just kidding. So you have something like here. So topic modeling, you're looking at all the topics. So they pick quite a few. I understand through topic modeling best practices, 10 is sort of the magic number here, but to each his own. You can see they have a little bit more, but you can get an analysis of looking in here how their data set, their content set has material listed through here. So you can take a look at these different things. They have different colors, makes it look nice. And then you can see, well, maybe I'm looking at this section here of metaphysical and ethereal elements in there. So it gives you an idea of, you can use it for exploration as well as for something for analysis. And then looking at interpret, you looked at your original research questions, and then you're looking, how have you answered those questions? And of course, answers to questions usually bring on more questions. So you can look at new questions that may come out from that. And so you go back and do that reiterative process there. So, all right, so that's the build here. I'm going to click on build. And I'll just do this. I'll show you the screens very quickly here. So here's where you're going to be doing the searching in that. I'm going to use this as an example. Oops. So comic book or cartoon or graphic novel. You'll notice over here, this is where you can upload and add your metadata as well if you have stuff to do. So let me do this. Because we haven't actually seen any real content. So here you go. Here's the content. It's finally coming together. So you have all this. So I did that search. I got 164,000 results. So hey, I guess you could save this if you spend some time building it up and all that. Just remember, when you're using these tools, they're going to take time to run through your documents. So if you have 10,000 documents and you want to know what the 10 big topics are using topic modeling, that's going to take a while to run. So go get a coffee or two. It'll take time to do that. So it's something to keep in mind. Maybe start small with just a handful of documents. Like, for example, see if the old proof of concept thing, and then go from there. So you have a lot of this stuff here. So here take a look at this. We have the author, graphic novels, OCR confidence, 99%. I like that. It explains to you what it's doing with that. If we click on this, it takes us right into it. You'll see the text on this side, and then you'll see the raw document, right? So this looks pretty easy to interpret, right? You can see this. I can read it from here. You can read it from here. It's great. But there's other PDFs that are like, whoa, barf, what were they doing when they made the things? I mean, sometimes that's just the nature of the documentation. So there you go. Let's see. Okay. All right, so this is what you have. So you always want to take a look at that and see, this is something that you could use, because 99% is quite good. Others, you may have to do extra work on them. All right, so let me go back here. I'm going to click this out. Oh, all right, I'm going to click there. And I should mention, sometimes when you click on something, it does sometimes take a few seconds to load or go back a page, that sort of thing. So that was just an example of a text that you can get. They'll tell you where it is right here, what it is, review. Maybe you want to get rid of reviews. Maybe you want to look at, you want to filter your results. So maybe I just want to look at archive. So if I click on that, and this is a great example where that tells you, you can look at this and go, well, maybe I do want to look at the Sunday Times historical archive. Or maybe I want to go further down and go, what, American fiction has 746 and it covers that time? That would be a very interesting search, I think, to find cartoons through that. Why is there so much in there? I got a little bit of curiosity here, just looking at that, right? So you can apply it and restrict that way. So a lot of different ways you can play with this stuff. All right. Let me go to clean. Let's clean your data. So we did the build. We feel reasonably comfortable that we've got stuff here. Oh, I should mention, here it is. Let me click a couple of these things, and let's see if I can do this. Add to content set. So it says, do you want to do a new content set, or do you want to add to your others? So you can have a long list of projects working here, okay? So I'm going to just do a new content and call it cartoons. Not terribly descriptive. So it'll load up there, and of course it's very small. When I go up here to my content sets, oops, there it is. So now I can start doing stuff with it. All right, so that's the build, and I'm going to go to clean it now. What I love about this is that it brings a whole bunch of tools together. So here's the clean section here. It tells you, oh yeah, you can search different way. You clean your text, if you're doing topic modeling, topic stop words, this sort of stuff here, or you can just use the default stop words. Aren't they great? Right? Because they're words that you don't want to analyze and that you don't want them to show up in your analysis anyway. So you can get rid of these doodads. And if you have choose a starter list, you're just not confined to English. You can do Zulu if that's what you want to do. So I thought that was kind of good. There's ways that you can get that, prep your data set. And then all this sort of stuff here, text correction, all that. So yeah, again, you have to work with this, right? So if you're doing all lowercase, that's fine. But maybe you're not doing topic modeling or personal name recognition, because if you're looking for Dr. Miller, Mr. Miller, and if you do that lowercase to Miller, the occupation, then that's not going to be very helpful for you. So you have sort of dance with what it is that you're, how you're going to do your text correction as you go through. Going down a little bit further here, replacements. If you see particular words in that you don't want to use or whatever, you can replace them with others. If you have dirty OCR. And if you see, like, you know, the little hat, the little arrow pointing up, and then R, let's say, and you know that going through, looking at your documents, you realize that is for the letter T. Well, okay, so you can sub them out. You can look for that little hat with the R and then replace it with T. You can do that. If you say, you know what, I don't want any of that stuff in there, period, then you can put that into your stop list. So you can the little simple ways that you can do that. So that won't gum up your word occurrences and that. So a lot of different ways you can work with this data. And of course, analyze. Let me get right here. Right here. So should I press this? Let's find out. Let's do this. What's the default setup? Okay, default. So do I want a sentiment score? Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to run this. I have no idea if it's going to blow up. It's only 2 documents, but so I've been running a number of these things, and they can take quite a bit of time. So even this is 2 documents. So I don't know. Could be 2 large documents, so 2 books or whatever. So you never know. Let's see if I click on this. Let's see what we get. Oh, okay. So, all right, there you go. So there seems to be an increase in graphic novels over this time period. It doesn't say what it is. You see what I'm saying? Hey, it's a start, right? So then you go back and you redo it, and you can look at your sentiment level. So does this mean that graphic novels have been viewed generally more in these 2 documents more positively than negatively? I don't know, but this is a demonstration of what you can do with this whole set. So I'm going to go step back here, and what I like to do, I'm going to go back to our main page. I'm going to go down here, look at the sample projects. I'm going to look at, let's see if this one came out correctly here. Oh, okay, so they did that particular one. All right. So yeah, I just wanted to take a look here. So we were just looking at sentiment analysis, and that was sort of like a very basic visual that you can get. So you can download that and use it with whatever project. So essentially, that is it. So does anyone have any questions? It's a whirlwind tour, but I think you may have a little bit of excitement with this new lab. So does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have, Kevin. Thank you.
Hi.
What about the kind of privacy? If I save document on my content set, how Gale handle my activity on the platform?
That's a very good question. I believe they are secure. I don't know, what they should. You have your own account, so it's secure to the sense that I hate to say Google Gmail, where it's secure, but they do stuff on the back. They just won't let anyone. So I don't know if they do that or not. I could ask Sarah and follow up with that with you. I would think it is secure.
I mean, whether yeah, I'm pretty sure it will be secure, but how sure Gale will not use my private information, my activity, for any purpose? When you kind of subscribe the Gale database, with the library, get some privacy policy or statement from Gale, so that all our member of the university will be kind of a private or safe in using Gale platform. So any activity, searching or analyzing data or other things will be confidential.
Right.
That is my question.
Okay. I will follow up with Sarah and ask her and see. She may have addressed this issue, previous stuff that we've done with her, but I want to be very clear with that. I can't speak for them for what they've done. I can tell you when we looked at ProQuest and their data text mine one, they did not have privacy standards in there. You had their platforms, you allowed 3 platforms at once, so 3 faculty researchers can go in and do that. So I thought that was kind of limiting. But they also had they said, well, basically any one of the other researchers can go in and play with the other researchers' data. And I went, whoa, that's a no-go for me. That's a non-starter. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I hope they've taken that seriously. But yeah, Gale, you're right. You're uploading your stuff to their website. So what are they doing behind the scenes?
Yeah.
So I will follow up with her and see see what she says. That's a good question.
Right. And also, so once I set up my account, maybe so not only kind of importing the primary source available through the Gale database, also I can upload my own content and kind of analyze.
Yes.
That's the what my understanding. So am I correct? Okay.
Yes. Yes. So it's TXT files. So they have to be very basic, and they're maximum of 10 megs at once, but you can do multiple 10 megs. So that shouldn't be a problem. So there is that process. I think it's probably for them just an upload issue with regards to that. They don't want someone throwing up 1 gig worth of text, because that'll take forever, you know.
All right. So on my content set, so I can delete my content, or I can upload multiple content at the same time, right?
Yes, you should be able to. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I am so excited to explore those tools, because I am looking for some tool to analyze the text data. So I think that the Gale platform is very promising. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, if you have any questions, you know, I may not be able to answer them, but that's good, because I know that someone's aware of them. So send them to me. It's all good.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you very much for coming. And thank you to everyone else. That's great. I will be recording this. Like I said, I've recorded it, and I will send the slides and the recording out. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Shirley. It's Kevin calling. I just noticed you came in. Don't worry about it. I will come and talk to you. I'll send you the recordings and that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And if we have any follow-up questions, you can reach out to me. All right.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay. Bye.